Hello and welcome everybody to Sublime Text Live. Pardon me, I almost had a little bit of a reflex there. Welcome. We are going to be working tonight and for the next little bit in our Monday YouTube streams on the override audit package here. We're going to continue on the work that we did in the previous stream, which wasn't last week because I was on vacation, but the week prior to that, where we started work on converting override audit to be a Python 3.8 package, and we're starting to take advantage of the various features of Sublime Text 4 that we can now for sure use, because we have cut to make sure that we require the most recent version of Sublime Text 4 as our base version. This allows us to utilize new functionalities, new features, new APIs, be Python 3.8 aware, without also having to try to keep backwards compatibility with the older plugin host. It's really the gist of that whole situation. And to that end, we're starting off with something a little bit simple, or at least I thought it was going to be a little simple till we looked into it, which is making the override browser commands use the kind information that has been added in Sublime Text 4 that allows us to make the quick panel entries, have nice little icons colored on them that allows us to see which files are which, is the overall goal. We've done a little bit of that previously. We're going to continue on that, and then a much added or oft asked for feature, which we were working on a ways back and we kind of set to the side for a period of time, is making it easier to share overrides with other users, which also would allow you to take your existing override and back them up and apply them on other systems. We have the ability to create such patch files, which we're going to go over and make sure that everything's still copacetic, because I think there are some bits that we no longer need now that we have Sublime Text 4, if you will, in its new plugin host. And then the hard part of actually figuring out how to apply the things. Hello, God Silver. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. So that's our plan. We're going to be working on this package this evening and probably for the foreseeable future. Possibly some other packages as well, as things warrant. But one thing to keep firmly in mind at all times is that if you have any questions about what it is we're doing here, a question about Sublime Text, how to use it, a problem you're having, if there's anything like that, please feel free to drop those into the chat at any time. The bot will remind you at set intervals, depending on activity in the chat, to remind you. But that is also why we are here, to help the community in a live setting, because I find often easier to explain a problem to someone live, if you will, rather than trying to write a forum post or a Stack Overflow post or something on the Discord or something on the Reddit, for example. To be able to just say, this is the problem you're having, I can replicate that here, here's how you solve that. You can actually see the solution in place and working. I find that eminently helpful for my own personal use. So hopefully you guys do that as well. And yes, sorry, I had no subtitles that are translated. No, in fact, I'm not entirely sure if this actually does live translations. I'm sort of leaning on YouTube's algorithm at this point. So also, depending on how things go, this stream may go longer. Normally, live streams on YouTube are roughly about 2 hours or so. So we'll probably jump out of here at around 10:30 Pacific. That's the time zone that I'm in. However, depending on how things go now and for the foreseeable future, these may be more longer form streams, just like they are on my Twitch channel, where we stream 4 or 5 hours for each individual stream. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump in and do the coding. Now we have to try to remember where it was that we were with this particular situation last, and I believe the thing we added was what? Use the new Python plugin host is that part, and this branch doesn't have anything yet because we haven't actually done placeholders. Placeholders is what we added to this. Right. Okay, so that is something along the lines of this. If we were to say we want to say create an override, then the placeholder is telling us this is creating an override in one of these particular packages. You choose one, and then it asks you about the resource to override. In this particular case, that, and then that would actually cause that to open. Similarly, if we were to just opening a resource, that would be open resource from package, you choose it, and then resource to open fold.tm preferences in this particular case. And that file opens. And for some reason, the syntax highlighting is not a fan of that. Okay, bud? Okay. Got a pooch under the desk there. So what we are going to be adding here, I'll just stick that over there for the time being, is kind information on those particular items. And we can sort of see that here. The kind information is the information that appears to the left of items in the quick panel. So this tells us that this is shipped, this is installed, and this is unpacked. And by hovering the mouse, we can see that that is shipped with Sublime Text. This one, if I stop wiggling my mouse, is installed as a Sublime package file. And this package is unpacked in the packages folder only. And we want to do the exact same thing for these. So there would be a little R for resource or a little F for file. This would be a little D for directory. And then anything that is an override would have a distinct other item there. Now for the purposes of this, I think what we want is a package that is very tiny, that only has a couple of files in it, so that we can, and I'm not sure what a good example of that might be off the bat, something that we could actually create an override inside of, so that we can have a smaller sample set when we're working with this stuff, because it's a tricky bit of info. That's got too much stuff in it. Groovy. Wow, these things have like a lot of stuff in them. We definitely don't want any of those. I know that for sure. That's better. Yeah, this HTML is too big. That's too... We may need to create our own sample package for the purposes of this. Just to be able to... This is an example of knowing that something is an override. We want to modify that to make that a little bit nicer. We didn't actually change anything in there, I don't think, right? No. Is that the best way to do that? That might be the best way to do that. Let's see. Well, here. Go to here, and let's say we touch file1.txt, touch file2.txt, mictor sub1, touch file2, sorry, sub1, file3.txt, and mictor sub1 slash sub2, and touch sub1, sub2, file4.txt, like so. So the structure of our package looks like this. And the idea here, for simple testing purposes, I want to have a nested structure here based on the recursive nature of the algorithm we're using to split these package resources out, so that we can make sure that we're getting the correct information out of these particular items at any given point. So all we got to do now is create a zip file recursively. I think we'll call this test package.sublime package, and pull in that. Here we go. So if I move test package to there to home.config Sublime Text installed packages, we now see there's file 1, file 2, there's a subdirectory that should have a file 3 in it. Potential bug there. The dots are missing on those. Ooh, what's happening there? Huh. Oh. Hang on. We don't actually want that in here. Has that always been a problem? Uh-oh. That seems okay. Is it only when there's 2 nested levels that it's unhappy about that? Open from the unpack test. That works. Okay. And then we make dir sub1 sub2 and touch sub1 sub2 file 3 dot text. Oh, I know why it's doing that. Yeah, all right. Well, I mean, that's kosher. We want something like that. That'll work better. Now there's a sub 1, there's a sub 2, and there's a file 3 and file 4. The reason that happens is that that zip command that I used included the names of folders as entries, but that's not something that Sublime is expecting inside of a Sublime package file, so the code was treating it as an invalid situation there. So we don't care about anything like that. Now we're going to need, first thing we're going to do is throw some code in here to be able to see what it is that this thing is actually doing. We don't care about package browser per se. We care about resource browser. Explode files is the thing that we're interested in here. Only one spot, right? So if we did something like that, then when we open resource test package, oh, don't tell me it's cached now. Oh, I've got to reload it. Hang on. That's the information we expect to come out of there. Oh, sorry, yeah, we didn't. It's not cached. It just doesn't auto reload. So now, just very quickly. Print json.dumps. Serialize object to don't care about any of those. We just want indent equals 2. I think is the magic. Yeah. So we come back to here and print. Oops. Something like that. So that when we there we go. We'll see a little bit of a nicer dump of what the content of this thing actually is. We might also want to change that just slightly. No, I think that'll be okay. Yeah. So contents is the thing we're interested in here. So just to show, we open a resource from the test package. This is what the content of the thing looks like. There's something named file 1, file 2, and then sub 1, file 3, then sub 1, sub 2, file 4. And this function that we're calling here, which is called explode files, takes as an argument an array of names like so, and turns it into a tree-like structure. So we can see in the top level, the files are file 1 and file 2, and then there's also a directory whose name is sub1. And inside of sub1 is a list of files whose name is file 3, which is that one. And there's also a folder in here, which is sub2, which is the same as that one there. This is the files in the root, this is the folders in the root. Inside of each folder in the root, there's files and folders. And inside of this, since there's a folder here, there's a key here that tells us what file is in here, and there's no folders. This function is returning back these items as strings, but what we want it to return them back as is kind information for the quick panel stuff. And if we were to make it do such a thing, then we would be able to have that stuff do what we want. There's a little bit of magic that has to go here, and you'll see as we get up to it for how we actually get the override information to propagate through here, because it's a little bit of a conundrum, if you will. The way that this code works is that given a name of a particular package, it gets the contents of that package, which is either the content of a Sublime package file, if it happens to be something that's shipped with Sublime or installed in installed packages, or if it's not, if it doesn't have a package file, it grabs the contents of the folder in the packages directory, which is one of something you saw me do just a moment ago. That's going to give it either way an array of the contents, which again is just a list of package resources. It's the same stuff you see when you do this. There's test package file 1, file 2, test file package sub 1, and then file 3, sub 1, sub 2, and file 4. I don't think those should actually be in there either, to be perfectly honest. But that is a Sublime Text thing, and that's not a me thing, so I'm not going to worry about that. That's what that is grabbing out of there. It also grabs this to see what, of all of the contents that are inside of this package, what are considered to be overrides, which is information that we can easily gather, because for something to be an override, it has to be in the unpacked package folder and also exist inside of a Sublime package file. That's bound up inside of this little helper here. But once we have that, we have the ability to grab the list of things that are supposed to list in here. And I think we want to make this always annotate, but we'll worry about this stuff in stages. So what this is actually doing here is, for anything that's actually an override, it's sticking something onto the end of the name of the item so that it can be determined later. And the reason for that is, while we have the whole list of resources, we know which ones are overrides and which ones aren't. But once we get out of here, that information is lost. And since this data structure is, instead of being a list of flat things like this, it's a list of files and the folders inside of a particular directory, and then for each one of those, the files and folders inside of that, and then inside of this one, that. There's no nice way to easily grab this information and carry it forward, so that when this thing gets displayed, it knows that sub 1, sub 2, file 4 is actually an override, because of the way that this function here that we're going to be looking at in just a moment is a recursive function which calls itself, if you will. Or sorry, this isn't recursive, but this calls itself. As it's looping through for each of the items, it calls into here, and then if there's a subdirectory, it calls into here. So conveying that information all the way through is potentially tricky. So let's say that the very first thing that we need here is a kind information that we can apply to something. We'll grab a couple of those just for giggles, because I don't think we have anything in here as of yet. We'll say package kind dir folder and resource and override. And override is going to be an O, and it's going to be kind ID reddish. A folder and a resource, do they necessarily need to be anything particular? I don't think they do. We might not even want anything on regular resources. We might only want it on package files, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. The reason, I'm going to grab those names and just sort of stick them over here in a little scratch buffer so I can have them to look at. There's something that's hidden behind the chat there. All right, so if we know what the contents is and we know what that's going to dump out to, you need to assume that the result of explode files is what we expect. Just because I'm curious. I guess we probably should have checked how do we construct one of these easily. Thus. Okay, so It's a quick panel item for something of name with a kind of package kind resource. Well, let's see what let's call that. Oh, yeah. For the time being, we'll worry about that. We won't worry about that, I should say. Copy that and that. This one will be package kind folder. Okay. We might also want to open resource. That's that. Oops. That's the command we're interested in. So let's see. View package file for the user Linux keys. And we want an entry for super T that executes the command override audit create. Oops. Override. And we're going to have some arguments in this thing. And they are going to be include existing true and package as test package. So in theory, we push the key and it immediately opens so that we don't have to keep doing this. Override audit resource, open resource, and then choose text test package. You can just hit that key and go into there directly. Cool. That'll make testing that much easier. I don't think we necessarily need you anymore, so we'll get rid of you. We can always look you up later. So the idea here very quickly is that if we're putting something into the files, then this should be a file. And if we're putting something in the folders, then this should be a dir. And then we just handle the remaining stuff. That might just be the only bit that we need here. So we just keep doing that until eventually I think we hit the appropriate thing. Inside of here, there's the parts. If there's exactly one, add that, because the only thing that can be at the top end is files. That's a file. Otherwise, there's a subdirectory and a remaining path. If this subdirectory doesn't exist, it's added to the folder, and then the entry for we added stub entry for that subdirectory. Oh, well, that's probably where that's going to go all doolally, isn't it? Well, we'll see what we come up with first. This may be something that's a little bit trickier for us to pull off in the general case, in which case we'll do this in a slightly different way and we won't worry about it in here. Because there's actually another way to do this as well, now that that may work out slightly better, because I'm not entirely sure offhand how awful this might be. Oh, right, we gotta reload the thing, pardon me. Alright, well that blew up pretty quickly. Oh, crunk. Ideally, those would probably just be top-level functions, but getting better. Now it can't dump it out that way. Alright, well that part's easy enough to handle. I think that means it probably just worked. We don't have a custom JSON decoder that knows how to do something with that, which is why it's doing that. Unfortunately, that makes that part kind of gross, but that seems to have done what we need, right? So files is now a quick panel item with the name of the file. And folders, oh, that's probably where that's going to go balls up. Yeah. Actually, choosing one of these is the less evil part of this for the time being. All of those. Can't remember exactly how that class works. Well, in the short term, that's the easiest fix for that because we're going to do something different with it anyway. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so line 224. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that's not going to show up in there, is it? No, because we never got to that part. Ugh. Here, let's do that. Click the wrong button. Pardon me. There we go. So we look for quick. We look for quick panel item. Trigger. We want something like that, I think. Maybe not. Oh, right. Gotta remember to reload the package. Still no, huh? Since we know that part works okay, let's just comment those out for the time being. And oh, probably want something like that too. Did I reload that? Probably not. Okay, so there's packages, test package, file 1. We probably should have put some content in it to verify that we knew what it was that it was actually doing. Sub 1, yeah, it's got a problem because now it's trying to open folders in a way that it doesn't understand, which makes sense. Dang it, all to poop. This makes this rather tricky. We should probably annotate them as they're being displayed instead. Now, why is it that picking a folder is causing that to happen? Oh, because of that. Right. So the list of items is now quick panel text. That's never going to look up. Items is going to be what? The stuff that's passed to display panel as the root of this thing. Which is here, calling browse. Wait a minute. Items is the first thing. So it gets the package contents through that stuff that we just looked at a moment ago. So when you call browse on this, it calls get package contents, which looks to see if we've already looked this up or not. If we have, it uses the cached version. If not, it gathers the list of all of the package resources. It figures out which ones are overrides. It annotates them as required based on how this object was created. Then it explodes them out into the structure that we just saw in the console that has a list of files and the list of folders. And then if there is actually something to display, it's passed right here. So the return of this is going to be whatever the return value of explode files is, and the thing that explode files is a dictionary. So we want something like Python dict.get with custom getter. I have a bad feeling about how you actually do this. Because I've done it before. We basically want something like that in our class and use a custom dictionary instead of what we think one should be, which would allow us to have a dictionary of quick panel items and still actually gather the text of the things later. But do we actually care about that? If we think about this in a very logical kind of way, then we know that when we call browse, it's going to gather the list of stuff, pass it into display panel with the list of items, which is going to show quick panel with those particular items, the list of things that are folders plus the list of things that are files, which is as we've seen in there. And each time select item is hit, if it's a file or the top of a stack sort of situation, then it gets to this part where it joins them all together and returns back the resource. If, on the other hand, it figures out that the thing that you chose is a child of an item, then it calls itself again, sticking on the current items. This is how it goes from sub 1 into theoretically sub 2, except it won't work right now because it's broken. No, whoops. For it to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna call this, and then the whole thing happens again recursively, and items are getting stuck onto this as a stack, which is why we see the stack appending and popping, so that when it gets to the end, it can just pull them all off. So if we think about this, this thing here is right now it's returning them as quick panel items, which means everything everywhere needs to know how to handle a quick panel item, which is why this is failed, because the object that it's looking up is a quick panel item. On the other hand, if that didn't do that and display panel was all about annotating the items in line here with things. Then when it calls this with that, it would have quick panel items. And it would know that the items that it was given are still text. It's just this first one. These ones are text. These ones are the captions. It could still look those up in theory. That could potentially work. That could potentially work. We also need to have something like that in here, which is kind of gross, but right. Huh. That's going to be a problem, right? Oh, because we put it in that place, we don't want it here. Not super pleased with this as a situation, I'll tell you that right now. But that could mean that this just kind of works. That is the, well, we maybe want to have an F for folder. We're going to there. Sub2, file 4. What are some of the items in the stack? Line 221. We'll add one of these and say we're going to print stack. Just to see what that's actually spitting out. It's an array of things. We were looking in... Wait, how did that even work in the first place? Oh, because the pop isn't working properly. I think. What's current? Oh, yeah. The key named current. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Current sub2. All right, we need to do this. be able to visualize this, whoops. That would mean that that's the end of that. Then the, oh, stop it. Folders. Just gonna end there. And then for the thing named sub1, there's some files. Ending here. And a list of folders. Ending here. And inside of there are some files. There's only going to be one. Ending here. No files. Oops. And then there's a current in that one named that. That one lines up with that, right? And then there's a current that's lined up with that. Oh, how did we pull this off? I didn't realize how deeply nested this thing was. How much longer is this? Oh, good grief. So the current item is sub1. So in that item, it grabs that. See, it doesn't need to trigger on that. And it doesn't need to trigger on that. So I guess we probably foolishly don't need that. Because the stuff that we're storing in current is the item that is... Oh, that's why I screwed myself up with that. I see. So sub1, sub2, file 4. And that's sub1, sub2, file 4. So that worked. Or sub1, file 3. And that worked. Or file 1. And that worked. Or file 2, and that worked. Yeah. We're getting close to something here. I don't know that that's necessarily the nicest way to do it. Let's say we don't want that. And when a resource browser is invoked, specifying true for annotate overrides will make overrides have extra data appended to the end of their name in the quick panel so the user can determine that they are overrides. This is only active when the resource browser is all. I don't think that's specifically required. So let's say whatever you pass for that, we don't actually store this at all. So if we didn't have that, then if we looked for self-annotate, instead of only doing it sometimes, do it all the time. I see. Oh, I see what we did here. Okay, so that's very clever. Let's get rid of that for the time being. Let's get rid of that for the time being. We don't care about you. So we gather the contents of the thing. We gather the list of overrides. If the resource type is all, then we find out which files. The overall resource list is the contents of the package except for the overrides. We subtract them away. And then we add to the resource list a new set where we take the overrides and annotate their names. And stick them together. Okay. And then that becomes the resource list. If the resource type isn't all, then if you're looking for overrides, it's just overrides. And if you're looking for this, then it's content except overrides. So we're going to do this first in the one way, but then we're going to have to tweak all of those particular things up. So let's, based on the way we did that, we're going to want to overrides are always going to be annotated no matter what. So that part is now done. I think we also want this here. That still compiles. Yes. We need to create an override for something so we can test this. So let's say it is file 1 is an override. So now when we do that, we can see that one is annotated to be an override, and then when we run it, it can't find it anymore because we redacted some of the functionality for this away. But it does know that it's in there. If we did override audit create, no wait, that's open resource. We did do that. If we create, oh wait. If we want to just, do we have anything that actually just views overrides? Well, I think we do. Let's worry about that in a second. So now it knows that's an override. Yeah, cool. So here's what we're going to do. We find this and remove it out, and then where we call self._file for this, we say this. If the name we were given ends with the annotation, then remove that away. So in theory, that means that when we do this, that no longer shows up as being an override, and we can actually open the content again, as we would expect, right? Kind equals package kind resource, and if we hit this, then kind is equal to package kind override, and then we can just say kind equals kind, and now we've broken it rather hardcore. Balls. Wait, why is that suddenly a problem now? Oh, because of that, like a fool. Okay. Except for the fact that that's not an O for override. That kind of works. O for override. F for file. D for folder. Or maybe we don't annotate files at all with a particular kind, but we do want to have those. This is where we have a workable solution to this. We just need to decide how we want it to actually work. Because the dot items in here aren't going to have those either. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna go blind. Well, that works, but it's kind of not that nice. So one of these that's better than any other for the purposes of this. Is there a Unicode folder character? Yes, there is. I wonder how widespread that is. That could read better as a folder. Maybe we want an open file folder instead. That was an up arrow. That was the thing. We just need a... Not a file separator, not a file cabinet. Yeah, unfortunately my font doesn't have those. That would be a hell of a thing, though. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do a little bit of that. Also, I'm kind of getting an extra zap on this because I have a colored emoji font. Are there magic UI characters I could be doing something with here? What did that actually do? Oh, I see. The magic pencil. Yeah. Yeah, let's say we don't necessarily care about that. Oh, hey. How about that? Oh, whoops. Yeah, we don't like that, huh? That may be... Oh, I mean, it works there. Did this one work there? Yep. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's italicizing it. That's weird. All right. So that would actually work, except for that is stupidly wrong. I could sort of see this being configurable where you get to decide what characters are used for what in the annotations, if any at all. So that you could perhaps configure that to be more to a person's liking. We want one for... That might be some... Up-pointing triangle might be handy for something. Why is it red? That doesn't really read that great, does it? I think the standard error is probably closer to what we want. And then the problem with this is what you would use as an icon for this is an override. I think that's where this whole situation of using magic characters kind of falls apart. Unless it's the same icon, but it's a different color. I actually reloaded that, right? Yeah, that doesn't work that great. Oh, wait, file 1 is the override. Oh, because I'm using a colored emoji font, so I can go to hell with that. There's a very slight color tint to it, but otherwise you can't tell. Eh. They have the wrong text, but Red if it's in override, green if it's not. We probably want something like that. Normal package resource file and overridden package resource file. Go up one level and what do you even call that? Subfolder in package, I guess. That's kind of what we're looking for there. And yeah, I think we want not those arrows, but whoops. Just a simple thick up arrow. Not from a bar. I don't think that's necessarily what we want. Ooh. Ooh. That might be the winner. Why are none of these cool arrows facing another direction other than that way? Not cool, not cool, not cool. Not cool. Well, upwards arrow, I guess, is okay. Be nice if it was thicker. But let's say something like that. What else can we find? Anything good? Not from a bar, not double-ended, not facing in a weird direction. It's not unidirectional. That's okay, but kind of fat. It would be nice if there was one of those that was thicker. Been watching too much Office, because now I want to say that's what she said. Upwards quadruple. That one's just weirdly colored. And those ones don't necessarily work. Oh wait, oh, this font, this color emoji font only has some but not all. Well, that's irritating. Alright, well, let's stick with that for the time being then. Kind, it was package kind folder. Oh, sorry, package. A little bit of something like that, and then we could call self.dir on this bad boy. Oh, actually, let's swap that to be that instead. Well, we're going to make it real unhappy real fast. Whoops. Forgot what I was doing. Now the up arrow has a little uppity on it. And oh, that part still kind of works. That's nice. So directories don't have things, only files do. Maybe not even files, maybe only overrides. I don't know. That'll tell us that this is go up one level. All right. Why does that actually work? Where's this? Oh, that's in here. Oh. 297. Oh, because this one's actually browsing packages, I guess. Ooh, yeah, we better test that that's not busted then. That would be... We have the list of packages. Whoops. And then we pick one like test package. And there's a ... in here that is go up one level, which still takes us back to that. So that's nice. Huh. We'll leave this one in a branch because we may want to bring it in or out as appropriate. Let's say that's going to be an F, that's going to be an up, that's going to be an R, that's going to be an O. So those are both kind of the same. We got subdirectory for up, file, up. That one is special. If we were to, create override for, let's say, the test package, we don't see anything that's already overridden in here because it doesn't make sense to actually show that. And the other thing that this can do is display only overrides, but I don't think that anything actually does anything with that. We navigate to the create override command. Then when we do create override and we choose test package, the only thing we see is override and nothing else, and that just sort of works the way we want it to. Or if we create an override in default, we can only see that those are overrides. So yeah, that totally works. Sweet. Okay, well, if we like that as a solution to this problem, we don't want you. We're not actually using it. This should be tweaked up as well. Check this out. No, open this in the editor, I said. Thank you. If we did something like... we did an itemized self name like this, and then we had something like that. Kind is equal to package kind folder if name dot ends with that, else that. No matter what we do, that part's all going to work out the same. If name ends with annotation, do that. We could say if name equals ... then kind is equal to package kind folder up. So when you call itemize, the default kind is a folder if the name of the thing ends with a slash, and it's always going to be a / even if it's Windows, because Sublime normalizes package components. Otherwise, it'll end up being a resource file. It's either a folder or it's a resource. If the resource name ends with annotation, then we want to strip that part off because it was just stuck in there temporarily for us to be able to determine what kind of thing this is. And then the kind is an override. And then lastly, if the name is just 2 dots, we say that's the folder up. Then we return the item, we copy that, we find self.file. Sorry, self._file. And all calls to this are now calls to itemize. And all calls to self.dir are now calls to itemize. And when we reload that, it should all still work the same way. Oh, except for the part where we're dumb. Hang on. This call is assuming a string. That one's assuming yeah, we don't do that. That's dumb. There we go. There we go. File 2. And file 1 is that one. And we go into there, we can open 3. And if we go in there, we can open 4. So wait, file 3 is an override now? Is it? Yeah, because I just saved it, didn't I? There we go. Okay. That's actually kind of tight as a situation. We'll just whoa. Hey, that's nice. That's not. Say given the name of an item to be displayed in one of our resource browsers. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Why? Why you do this to me? Given the name of an item to be oh, Nike. I think I just realized why that thing we did on Friday's stream was doing what it was doing. Crap. Given the name of an item to be displayed in one of our resource browsers, return back a quick panel item that wraps it using an appropriate kind. When we're building up the list of files to be displayed, this is appended to the end of all resources that are overrides. Temporarily, we can determine how to we kind of want something like that. So that's actually, oh, those are the wrong sorts of crap. Hang on. Those are resource. Resource kind folder, resource kind folder up, resource kind override. Right. Maybe we change resource to normal or something, but I don't worry about that here. When displaying information into the package resources while browsing for one. Can be applied depending on the type of resource fragment that is being displayed. This includes an item for a folder, the ... meta item that allows us to go up a folder, as well as something for a normal That guy really made that thing unhappy. I don't think that'll actually tweak that, but it'll allow that to work as expected. Auto pairing and comments is weirdly broken. That's odd. Normal, package resource, and one that is. Gonna have a little something like that in here. Okay. So we check here and say we changed that comment, we added that, we added itemize. We no longer need to do that. We'll have to change that call. These things don't need to be here anymore. They're not going to be invoked by anything. Why are those only one apart and not two? That's weird. Whatever. Now when we append the name of a file, we itemize it, and similarly when we put something into the list of folders, we do the same thing. We now don't have an option to annotate things or not. We just always annotate, including annotating only resources if we happen to be browsing for those. When we grab a selected item, we have to grab its trigger out. We don't need to do anything with that anymore because if there was an annotation, we've stripped it out prior when we applied the kind information. And now we need to itemize the prior text item. I'm kind of happy with all of that. That's just resource browser. Oh, that's right, because the thing that right, I was just curious why prior text is only put in there if it needs to be. So I can see why that would happen, and I am okay with it. All right. So hey, I just realized that YouTube fixed their chat. Boss. That's cool. I was just about to waste some time doing stuff with it. So how about if we... How come that's not displaying annotated stuff? But in any case, one more thing that we need to definitely check with this is that this bit here. The method no longer takes annotate overrides as an argument. So if we're creating a resource browser, we have to be careful about how we do it. The only place that's calling a resource browser here is this one, where it also gets an annotate. All right, so we're going to have to chase this one down the rabbit hole. Annotate overrides is not a thing that exists in this class. It only exists there. So we just take apart that, like so. Now, package resource browser is actually used in one place. We don't need that, and we don't need that, because that's not going to be an option anymore. That part's just going to be gone. Wang! And then we don't have to worry about passing it as an argument to anything because it's not going to do anything anyhow. And that means this isn't needed because all it's used for is to pass into there. And that part's not using it anymore. We'll just have to fix the comments. We go like so and that. Annotate overrides. It's nothing we care about. We don't need that anymore. All right. See how well that all works for us. We're opening a resource. Seems to be fine. We're override audit, opening a resource. It's showing us a list of packages. We're picking one. It seems to be cool. Everything's kosher and copacetic with that. Cool. We may. Did I share that commit with anybody? I didn't. So this branch is all me. Okay, that's cool. That's what we'd like to see. Okay. I like that. So no more comment for it because the argument's not there, because the value is not actually used for anything right there, as we've already seen. Yeah. Cool. So this would be update the resource browser to use kind information. Oh, kind info. Similar to the previous commit, this modifies the resource browser class. So that as the user is browsing for the resource or what to open here. Similar to the previous commit, this modifies the resource browser class so that as the user is browsing for the resource to open or the items in the panel are annotated to let you know that they are folders, regular resources, or overrides based on the underlying state is what we want to do there. And again, what we are changing is we change the comment for what this is for. We add new kind information to be able to use to annotate the items inside of our list. We have a function that can annotate them based on whether or not the name ends with a slash, in which case it's a folder, otherwise it's a file. If it happens to end with that annotation that we just saw up there, then we know that this kind is an override instead of the file that would have otherwise been, and if it's two dots, we know that it's a folder up instead of the file that it otherwise would have been, and then we create a quick panel item that wraps that. This function, this class rather, no longer takes an annotate overrides because instead of doing it only sometimes, it just always does it. Previously, it only did it if you knew you were browsing for a certain kind of thing, because otherwise it just corrupts up the display and looks kind of gross. But now it's looking kind of nice, so that's cool. That argument goes away, and so does the thing that's storing it, because it's never actually used for anything. When we store a file in, we need to wrap it with that itemized call so that instead of storing the text in the list of files, it stores the quick panel item. And similarly, in the folders, we do the exact same thing as well. And then when we're gathering the list of resources, previously, if we weren't supposed to annotate it, the resource list was just the contents of the package, but otherwise it was constructed by first creating a set from the contents of the package but redacting the overrides, and then by adding in to the set that is just the contents without overrides, all of the overrides again, but with that annotation stuck onto the end of them. And this might actually also be a thing where we could do a little bit of that, just cause, and it'll look a little nicer. And that should all still work the same as it always did. Yeah. We're trying to use new functionality as we run across it. And lastly, since we're annotating everything all the time and not just sometimes, if we're supposed to be displaying the list of overrides, we should similarly annotate their names. So we should probably wrap that the same way. So that becomes this. Then when we grab an item out, we need to get its trigger text, because previously it used to be text. Now it's a quick panel item, so that is special. We no longer need to remove the annotation before we try to construct the resource name back from the stack of items that we've chosen, because it's no longer in there because it was removed when the item was wrapped in a quick panel item. And when we pass in the top level, go up one folder text to use, if anything, we wrap it so that it looks like it's a going up kind of folder. So coolio with that. Then lastly, when you create a package resource browser, which first shows you packages, then shows you resources, we don't need to pass in annotate overrides, so that part's gone, but everything else remains. And then similarly, when we create the resource browser, we don't pass that argument in because it's not actually needed. So we can stage that hunk. And lastly, when we're actually calling this, previously we would want to know, do we want to annotate these things? Yes, we're looking at all overrides, or no, we're only looking at non-override things because we're going to create an override. We don't need to do that anymore because it's just always going to annotate them either way. We just took the argument away, so we don't have to create that value, and we don't have to pass it in either. And then we can commit. Sorry, we can commit. I'm doing a lot of stuff at work. Now, why does this when browsing for packages, the quick panel uses kind information to delineate what kind of package each of the listed packages actually is? I have a feeling we've done something stupid somewhere here, because there should actually be more information here. Particularly, if we did open resource, we have to choose a package when we see that. If we see create override, similarly we see it. If we choose diff single override, we don't see it. Choose binary. I have a feeling that we never fully plunked this out to use the new resource browser. So that's probably the next task we have to deal with here, which is, what were we doing here again? Diff single override, doesn't use the right thing. bulk diff single package. Similarly, doesn't use that. None of those would actually browse. So just those two things. So the two items we would choose here is bulk diff single override, which is going to be underscore diff underscore single, and I'm assuming the other one's going to be bulk. Oh, that's still diff single, but bulk true. Ah, all right. So one command will do the business. I wonder why we never did anything with that previously. Selective diff of a single override or package based on the provided arguments. The user will be prompted by a quick panel to select the value of any deleted arguments except bulk, which controls it. Oh, God. Well, our template is this. The package or file name is missing, prompt for the given item and re-invoke ourselves when given a full file, but no. Okay, when given a file but no package, the file is ignored and the user will be prompted to pick the file. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So if we're bulking diffing a single override and you don't get told specifically the package and the override, but you just get told a package, then you'll get browsed inside, but if it's file, it's ignored. And for packages, we really only need the one. Oh. I think I know why I didn't do anything with that one. Oh, I don't like the way that that one's not upside down, too. Might actually go ahead and do that. Oh. Shortcut for bulk diffing a single package. If you say it's bulk and you don't give it a package, then it uses the diff report command. Oh, I guess that's not how that's working. Oh. So this command also needs to be modified. Oh man. Oh no. As a whole thread type situation. Is this choosing it from inside? Oh, this might take a lot more fixing than I thought. I don't know that I have the wherewithal to pull this off this evening. If that's what this is doing. Because this is based on report generation thread. Which is based on a background worker thread. let's double check that. Oh, it can only do the, oh, I see. Cool, I just misread my own code. Thank God for that. If you're told that it's bulk and there is a package is not none, invoke it directly. Otherwise, this. Okay, so we still want you. I don't care about you. I don't care about you. Realistically, I don't care about you because you're just going to get the package. That explains why I didn't quite understand how that was actually working. Otherwise, this, it calls underscore loaded here to show a package list. Okay. Okay, I see. I'm just going to zoop that down there for the time being, because the magic of how a bunch of commands in override audit work is that in order for it to do its job, it needs to know information about all the packages that you have installed, which includes knowing what the contents of those are to some degree. And in order to gather the list of packages, it has to look for all of the files in the installed packages folder and any subfolders of it. It needs to look in the packages folder that's in the installation directory of Sublime, where Sublime package files that ship with Sublime are stored. And it also needs to find all of the top level folders in the packages folder that you can get to by preferences, browse packages. And then it needs to connect all of those together, because if a package can appear in any one of those three places or any combination of them, including all of them at the same time, right? If something appears as an installed package file and also as a folder in the packages folder, then you're overriding some of the resources in that particular package. On the other hand, if it appears in the shipped packages folder, the packages folder that's inside of the installation directory of Sublime, and also in installed packages, that's what's called a complete override. Sublime ignores its package and uses yours. And then both of those situations can happen at the same time. So you are completely replacing the Python package with something else and also overriding it as well. And for all of that stuff takes time. So all of the commands that work with packages at some level have a background thread that does stuff. So the package list collection thread is all about spinning off an external thread that just gathers up all of the information about the packages. And once it's done, it invokes the callback, which in this case calls the self.loaded to give it the information, and then that allows it to actually do interesting stuff. So we don't need you or you realistically. If we're diffing a single override or a single anything, oh, I see why we might have left this off. Our code has a package resource browser, the thing that we were just playing with, and that allows you to search for a package, and then it allows you to look for a thing, inside of that package. Or alternatively, if you give it a package, it doesn't prompt you for that when it only does the resource browsing instead. That's why you can, when you're creating an override, you can choose the package, then choose the file. Or as we were doing here when we press the key, we're specifically telling it the package, so it doesn't offer us the option to go back. Here, I think this is slightly different because it's got a bulk option, which it needs to pass through. So it calls underscore loaded when all of the package information is done. So it grabs it out of the information the thread gave it, so it has its own package list. If there isn't any package provided, it needs to prompt you for one. But if there is a package, then if it's in that list, we either we can show the override list or diff or say no. So this one's choosing a package. Where's the bulk work into this thing? Oh, because it's in show package list. If show package list is bulk, then once you choose something, it actually allows you to pick the thing inside of that package. It doesn't let you go back either. Right, so show the package list, pass it bulk. It does show package list. It calls it, when you're done, it calls package pick with bulk. And that is where this part here says if you're not supposed to do bulk, do that, otherwise invoke that particular command. I don't know that we have a nice way around that. Sorry, got a little bit of an itchy leg there. When you create one of these, the user will be able to browse for a package or just files within a package. Yeah. So it only invokes a callback one way or the other. You give it a package name, maybe, a resource name, maybe, definitely a window, what sort of packages to do stuff with, a list of packages with which to work, whether or not it should display unknown things, something that can be used to filter the list of packages, what to invoke when it's done, and the placeholders. And then it does all of the dirty business here for you. So when you call browse, as you see, it gathers the list of packages exactly the same way as this does. It's using the package list collection thread, which when it's done says to call start browse. Or if you already have it, because it was given to you when you were created, then just call start browse. This allows you to use this anywhere, and it'll gather the list of packages for you. Or you can get this to gather it. So one thing that would mean for us is we don't need to use this here. We could just invoke the package resource browser if we wanted to. But I think what we want to do is say that if it's bulk, if bulk is true, then we only need to browse for a package. Otherwise, we need to use the other one. So let's make a note here. If bulk is set, then we need to use a package browser. And when the choice is made, bulk diff it. If bulk is not set, we need to use a package resource browser. Instead, because we're choosing not a package to diff, but a specific resource. In both cases, the list of packages should be constrained to just those that have overrides in them. That is then, we kind of have something like that going on in this file down here. This one's excluding things that are disabled. This is including, if you're trying to create an override, you can only choose from packages that have a package file. We need to modify this one up here so that its filter is something a little different, which is only for packages that have possible overrides, or for ones that actually have overrides. So that's going to be the next thing that we do in this, but I think we are going to do that in the next stream. I'm going to need to kind of reacquaint myself behind the scenes with a little bit of how that actually is meant to work. Maybe we can actually change it up and make it a little bit cooler than it actually is right now. This whole mess of stuff here is the reason why we implemented the package resource browser in the first place. And until we implemented the stuff that allows this to actually use the correct annotations, we didn't even realize that this was being handled by slightly different code, which is kind of an interesting turn of events. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with our results of having that information be appropriately annotated. So we know that that is a normal package resource file. That's a subfolder in a package. That one's telling us to go up one level. And if we do, that is an overridden package resource. Hello, Pablo. Welcome. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. How did we handle that here? If package is none or file is none, do that. Otherwise, let it fall through because we have the appropriate argument. I guess that probably makes sense. I wonder. This command is for selective diff of a single override or package based on their provided arguments. So if we did show package list, it needs to invoke packages with overrides. What does this do? At least one simple override. You have to give it a package list. I'm doing not too shabby, all things being equal. We're making some fairly decent progress with some stuff that we're working on here. We need to know this. Yeah, this requires us to have a list of packages. So, and I believe we can pull that off because that's what this thing is doing. The package filter that gets given to the package resource browser. P filter is used to create this. It's actually invoked there as the third argument to package browser, which is P filter, which is stored there as this. And then, whoops. This is easier than I thought. We might play with this right now. Name for name package in if, yeah. You have to pass it a function that says, does this pass the filter? Oh, actually. Conceivably make our lives a little bit better. It'll do that automatically. Haha! Let's see here. If bulk is set, okay, let's do this. If we're supposed to bulk diff and we were given an explicit package to diff, then do that now. This is a shortcut for bulk diffing a single package. Hello, is that Chicklebeck Bros? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Hopefully I am. Welcome. Let's grab you and move you up here. How you guys doing this evening? If bulk diff's not set, yeah, okay. So here's we're gonna say this. There. Okay. Oh, actually, we could kind of do that in here, couldn't we? What's an appropriate situation here? Wait, let's get it working first, and then we can tighten it up later. We don't have a package. Then we need to prompt the user for one. When they choose, we can run the command. Oops. And what we're gonna do here is, let's see, something similar to that. Return package browser and package browsers init. Wait, how is I doing that here? That's a window command. Okay. This is a window command too, right? Yeah, cool. So the arguments to package browser is self.window. File type is going to be resource type dot override. And placeholder equals something. Oh, actually, we need to create the browser first. Whoops. Is that how I was doing that here? Oh, we can just invoke .browse on the end of it. Haha, okay. Something, something, dark side. Like so, and package browser. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and destroy that pane. Put these things back where we would expect them to be. Well, I wasn't expecting that, I will admit. Don't care about you. Don't care about you. Don't care about you. Just you. Package browser is that one. Uh-oh. Do we need to actually gather the packages ourselves in this case? Well, to coin a phrase, poop. Why does that not gather it itself? Only the resource browser does. That was a bit of an oversight on my part, wasn't it? That one gathers it. This one doesn't. It assumes you're already going to have it. So that's a big old pain in the rump. Because we don't... I guess one way or the other. All of that stuff would be the same as this. Alright, so fine. Because we're calling loaded with bulk. So we just do something like that. We go into here. Well, I guess we go into here. Okay, if we're bulk diffing, we don't have a package if we get here, but we now have a package list. So prompt the user for one, and then trigger the appropriate command. So this is the place to do that. So if we're going to do something with bulk, we're going to do this. The rest of that stuff doesn't necessarily need to be there. We'll just slowly remove code that we no longer require. The browse for just package browser, which is this one, needs to take the package list and an on done. Whoops. So the first argument that it's going to get is the package list. And then an on done, which I do that in the browse, don't I? That's the package select. Package info. Alright, so that technically means that part's not going to be there anymore. It's just going to be package pick. In this particular case. Oh, is that how I was doing that over here? Yeah. Well. Here. Let's just steal that whole thing and then replicate it over here. Whoops. It's going to be that. This doesn't appear anywhere in this file currently, so that's cool. So we just find... Whoops. The package select is this one. Shloop. Yeah. Uncool, dude. We don't have a return to package. If you pick this, you pick it. So that's not going to be true. It's just going to be that, because that's the package that was picked. If package info isn't none, this is going to happen. If it is none, it's going to do that. We don't care about any of that. We don't care about any of that. We just need to do what this would have done if you were picking, when you did a package pick, which is this. So thus. Which means if we invoke the command for diffing, a bulk diffing a single package, then bulk will be true. It won't have a package provided. So it's going to set up this callback. It's going to gather the list of packages. Once that part's done, it's going to invoke self.loaded after it's gathered all of the packages. Self.loaded is this bit up here where we gather the list of packages and then say, if we're supposed to be bulk diffing, which it's going to be set to true in our particular case, then we can do this part, which is creating a package browser for the current window, only showing overrides. It's going to prompt us with that as a placeholder, and once it's done, we're going to call browse, telling it to browse this package list for anything that is a package that has at least one override in it. When the user picks one or presses escape, invoke package select, giving it the package information, which is this one. It's going to be none if you push escape. Otherwise, it's going to be the actual package you picked. And we're going to invoke the diff report with the package name that we were given. And I guess we also need to pass that in as well. So, all right then. We just throw a little bit of that there. So when we call package select, we need to do that. That's an argument that this is given. So in theory... turn that off. If we were to bulk diff single package, it would blow up in our face. Oh, because I got to import the symbols. Doofus. Not that though. We want that. Forgot what I was. What order did I put those in? Browse, then core, core, then browse. Always core first, like that. All right. I think that'll work a little bit better. So that means if we bulk diff single package. Oh. Actually, we need both, but here, we'll do them one at a time. That way, we can't possibly screw that up as hardcore as one might expect. Okay. Here's the list of packages that have at least one override. And there's the thing that says something dark. So we can swap this for where did we invoke that from? This would be bulk diff all overrides in, like so. So if we pick that again, bulk diff single package, whoop, there it is. We pick binary and there's our diff all done. That part works as we would expect it to, so bully for us. If we're not supposed to do that, then wait. If we were told to bulk diff and that we were given a package, run that command. Otherwise, it does this. And the first part says, if we're supposed to bulk diff, then by default, we don't have a package. Because if we had a package, we wouldn't have gone to this part. We would have just executed. So we're going to run that part, which is going to pick it, and it's going to be done. So we don't need to do that part anymore. Because if it's not bulk, we need to do it with a package resource browser instead. Which is why we need a second one here. Package resource browser, like so. That's why we're going to just come over here and snake that for the time being. I'll just move that over because now we don't care about it as much anymore. So we're going to go like Ah, crap. I guess we do need that in there. Well, we'll see what we come up with here. First prompt for a package, if needed, followed by the resource to actually diff. And then we can execute the diff on that override. Now, exclude unchanged. Is that used? It's passed in to show package list, but I think that's the only place. Because if there was a package, it would try to do something with it. Yeah. It's passed particularly to the diff report for the bulk diff, sorry, as opposed to what we're doing right now. Oh, gravy. We might need to stash that. Let's see. We can actually get at the changes to this file from here. So let's see. File pick comes from show override list. Show override list comes from package pick. Package pick comes from show package list. Show package list is the thing that we just threw out. So by default, theoretically, we can just go ahead and blap all of that stuff right out of there. I don't think we actually need it. Why do I have so much trouble with syntaxes? I think if you don't do it a lot, it's like anything, I would imagine. If you don't have, if it's not the sort of thing that you do all the time, then it's sort of a little bit harder to wrap your mind around a little bit. But once you get used to it, much like anything else, it gets a little bit easier. Are you having any particular problem? Some of the more common problems people have with coming up with syntaxes for Sublime is forgetting that you have to be able to do stuff a line at a time. And your regular expressions can only match a line at a time. And apart from that, it's all an art in how to, I guess, think about how to break down things into parts that you need and parts you don't. Yeah. I would say that that's not unique to you. That's just sort of how that works. So in that regard, I think you're doing okay. We don't need any of you. We're either not bulk diffing. Either way, we need to prompt for the package and or override. So we need to gather a package list. I'll make that a little bit nice. Yeah, that's pretty much this comes up, Cody, all the time in my Twitch streams, I will say. People that are feeling like maybe they don't have what it takes to be a developer, or it's just not clicking for them or something, along those lines. Because if you watch someone that knows how to do something, by definition, it's going to be easy, right? When I first started coding, I was 10. That was 38 years ago. But I went through undoubtedly the exact same sorts of struggles that you're going through right now, only nobody could tell because I wasn't on the internet at the time because the internet was but a gleam in someone's eye. But in gaining that experience and working on stuff, it all becomes a lot easier. So the main thing is to, you know, believe in yourself, not give up. You can do it. It'll come. It just takes practice, just like anything else. That's not an indent of 4, is it? Wow, it is. I'll be danged. Absolutely love Bash. I've been on for around a year. I'm good in Linux. I get jealous. Man, I haven't done Bash scripting in a little while. Okay. So, either way, we want to catch that. Package select is that. We'll call that package pick. It can invoke the appropriate thing. We're not bulk diffing. I also find as I'm doing stuff, I'm not sure if you watch streams regularly here or on Twitch, but I tend to comment stuff to try to clarify in my head exactly what it is that I think I should be doing. And that gives you an opportunity to think about whether the logic of that is correct or not. The appropriate way to do something like this would be to do scads and scads of pre-design, but who has time for that? Let's change this comment. If we're bulk diffing, the fact that we're inside this callback means that the user didn't give us a package. So we need to browse for one and then kick off the diff when the user picks one. That's what that's doing. So if we're doing a bulk thing, then we create a new package browser and invoke its item here. Oh, let's do this. If we do this, that is a lot nicer to look at. I think that'll work. I don't actually know. Yeah, not a fan of that, huh? Thanks, Python, you tool. Ah, grand. How did I have that before? Yeah, not a fan, but what can you do? I have a package called Override Audit available in package control, and we're basically working on augmenting it, making it better. Oh, right, the package is broken now. Hang on. Wait for everything to... Uh-oh. Son of a... Why are we unhappy about this? Oh, good grief. Did I screw something up? I might have screwed something up. Line 9. Why is that invalid syntax? Oh, son of a... Oh, hey, you fixed that. Sorry, I got I got caught up in that. I kind of broke stuff real hardcore there, but the package I'm creating has the ability to display stuff like this for being able to browse resources. This is a small constrained list of something like this, but we're working on using the new Sublime Text 4 functionality to add this sort of kind information in here. And since we got all that working, there's various other places where you have to browse for information that I'm trying to use the same code for. But I boned something up somewhere, so we're going to have to fix that too. Yeah, let's go ahead and delete this override because I'm pretty sure I don't care about it. Cool. Now that problem has been resolved. This is what this package is actually for, helping you work with your own package overrides. Oh. Ooh. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. I don't remember what this is supposed to do, but I do know that it's now broken. So we'll just disable it and worry about it later. All right. Now when we restart, we should not see that weird error. There we go. Swanky. Phew, thank God. I thought I had busted something in the previous stream. I agree, it is pretty boss. The thing that we just created is so we can say override audit bulk diff single package, and it shows us a list of the packages that can currently be diffed because we know they definitely have overrides. And this tells us that these packages with an S are shipped with Sublime Text, but outliner and test package are ones that are installed as Sublime package files. And then if you choose one, like say the default package, it generates a report that says exactly what files you've changed locally that aren't otherwise in there. So there's another way to do the same thing where you can diff a single override. This isn't going to work, but that command is supposed to prompt you for a package, and then once you pick one, show you the things that are inside of that package for you to do something with. That's the code that we're currently trying to get working here. Well, I mean, it was working. We're breaking it in order to make it better. But we don't have a package. In that case, we need to prompt for a package. I guess that's something we kind of don't have anything. Can worry about that later. We're not bulk diffing, or we are, but we don't have a pack. Oh, that's because there's an actual command for doing that. I'm assuming that's the stuff that I blopped out of here that I probably wasn't supposed to. On file pick, it should call you. So it actually should have been cool enough to do that. I am indeed. Well, I'm working on one that has existed for a while. Specifically, this package here is the one that we're currently working on. 3 weeks ago, as we can see here, this package has been around for 5 years. 3 weeks ago, we started a new set of modifications for it. We came out with a brand new version with some bug fixes, and now we're making it Sublime Text 4 only so we can take advantage of some new features. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, as it exists, it works, but there's some stuff that I'd like to add to it. But since Sublime Text 4, actually, I guess there must be a bug. Oh, we don't actually have a Sublime Text 4 specific build yet, so I got to read the thing. There's some features that it supports that I'd like to be using in the package that I haven't been using up until now because I wanted to maintain compatibility with multiple versions of Sublime. So we're getting pretty close to the end of stream time here, though. If I can get a simple version of this working. Okay, we're not bulk diffing, or we are, but we don't have a package. Okay, so that comes into here. Hey, no problem. Yeah, it's late for me too. It's almost 11 o'clock and I have an early meeting. Normally I only stream till about 10, but this actually is kind of an interesting problem, all things being equal. So, I'm going to say that the res type is going to be res override, and we don't need a filter. We do need a couple of these things, though. We'll call this diff override in package and resource. Overridden resource to diff for those things. And then we would package browse for whatever package we were given, whatever override we were given, a window which is us, the resource type, we don't need that, there's not a filter, we do want that, we do want those, so the resource type is actually just going to be that. On done goes there, and then these two things can both be inlined. So that one is the package placeholder, and that's the resource placeholder. We want that. Now those parts aren't actually required. That replaces all of this nonsense. And then we just need the self.pick. Def underscore res pick. What's our... Oh, that was this one over here. That. Package info and resource are the two arguments. Whoops. But we don't do that with it. We do you with it. In that window with that package and the resource that was provided. Could it be that simple? No, because I screwed it up. Nope, that's not right. Res pick, like so. All right. Gotta quit and restart because I broke it. Alright, here it goes. Diff single override. Oh, shit. Line 65. Wait, why is that not? Line 46. Oh. Crap. I forgot. That'll probably make that somewhat happier. Now, here we go. Diff override in package Python. There's the single override there, or there's the single override there, or there's the two overrides there, or there's the two overrides there. So that part just all works now. That's kind of clever. More work is probably required on that to make that do what we want, but it's actually pretty cool. That takes care of both situations here, if I recall correctly, because that is the single override and the bulk diffing of a package. So let's commit that, and we'll call it good. We might actually scooch that down as well in the list of things. So what we did was we now use the resource type and that instead of all of this stuff over here. We have a package pick, a resource pick, what to do with for loaded. Yeah, okay. So stage that and say use the new file browser for single and bulk diffs. The command to bulk diff a single override or all overrides in a single package has now been updated. The new browsing code okay. This may still require some work. Since we haven't verified yet what happens if you invoke command with specific arguments. I'll commit that, and then I'm going to move that down to right before there. Actually, yeah, we'll do that. We'll push it down, and we'll push it down, and we'll push it down. And now we upgraded to Python 3.8, and then in this new branch, new file browser, if we want, we can advance master to this point so that that part's always there, even if this magic is not. Or we could put master to here so that the placeholders work. We're going to create a conflict here. Hello, good morning. Well, evening for me, but how are you doing? Browsing for packages and package resources now uses kind information for clarity. To annotate entries in the list is what we have here, and we want to put that in the changelog as well. I'm so unhappy about the fact that I'm going to screw myself up with this. Oh crap, I didn't spell that right. Better? Yeah, cool. Alrighty, so the file and the package and resource browser has been augmented so that it uses the new ST4 annotation abilities to mark different entries in the panel are for. In addition, this browser, oh, actually we don't even need to mention that as a particular case. We just do that. And let us cram that into this most recent commit, because that's where we would have updated all of that stuff. We probably should have put some of that there, but since this is in its own branch, we'll stage the changelog and we'll stage that file and amend the previous commit. Just because I like to update my changelogs as I'm making changes so that as branches are merged together, I'll be able to see what changes I made in that particular branch. Otherwise, I might forget, and that's a sad, sad time. But with that, this stream has been approved, and I think it's time for us to say good evening. That's going to do it for this Sublime Text live stream. We're going to be back next Monday, also working on some override audit. Again, if you have any questions about anything we're doing here, you want to be a package developer yourself, this is a great place to learn. If you have any questions about Sublime Text and you would like to get more information about how to use it, this is a great place to ask those sorts of questions live as well. And if you would interested in watching coding in general or having other access to me in a live state to ask questions or just pick my brain about things, I also stream on Twitch on Wednesdays and Fridays as well in the same time slot as I do here on Mondays on YouTube. And there's information about that down in the description of this video, which will go unlisted once the stream ends, but there's a playlist also down, should be linked in the description of this video, and also off the channel called Sublime Text Live, where you can find this and every other episode of this series as we work on doing things with Sublime Text. And with that, I shall bid you adieu until next week's stream, unless you come and hang out with me in my Twitch streams on Wednesday and Friday, where we're working on Node.js type applications. So until the next stream, this is ODAT Nerd, hoping you have a sublime day. Night, everybody.